All right, Roy Moore is fighting back against charges he dated a minor in 1979 when he was 32, and he says if you send your daughter to his house, he'll be happy to explain to her what happened. You'll hear a different take on this from me than you've heard from just about anybody else. I think it's going to be worth listening to. Also, the adorable Michael Knowles, heartthrob star of Another Kingdom, will be with us to discuss sex scandals through history. That probably won't be worth listening to, but you can turn it off before that happens. And I'll mock him relentlessly, so that'll be kind of fun. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, Lord, zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, it was a Klavanless weekend for Roy Moore. Should have been listening to Another Kingdom. You know, we now have over 600 five-star reviews for Another Kingdom. This fantasy.
Wait, you have 600 five-star reviews, or you have 605 one-star?
No, it's 600 five-star, and I left none of them. Maybe I left one of them. I'm not sure, but so maybe it's 599. But it's over 600 five-star reviews. Go to iTunes and tune in and subscribe. Also, tomorrow is The Conversation with Michael Knowles. So you're going to get a lot of Knowles. This is, you have to roll that up so I can see the exact times. Actually, I have it over here. It's November 14th at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. The conversation will stream live on the Daily Wire website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel, and it will be free for everyone to watch, but only subscribers can ask the questions. Subscribe today to ask Michael questions and join the conversation. It's a lousy $10 a month. For a lousy $100, you can subscribe for the full year and get your Leftist Tears tumbler, which fills up every time Noel speaks. It's amazing. It just gets full of leftist tears. Also, a lot of these revelations are coming out about the kind of insane people who work in offices. Most of them, we have to admit are true here at the Daily Wire, but that's because we did not use ZipRecruiter.com. If we had used ZipRecruiter.com, we could have sane people working here, but then it wouldn't be as much fun, but at least we had competent people, probably at your business. At your business, you want the best, and that's why you want to go to ZipRecruiter, because with ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. And then what happens is ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting, so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you. It goes out, finds them, drags them into your business, and then you'll have a good staff. Write to us and tell me what that's like. It's no wonder that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. 80% get a quality candidate in just one day. That's what makes ZipRecruiter the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidate with immediate results. Right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right. That is fairly inexpensive, free. Just go to the ZipRecruiter.com/Daily Wire. ZipRecruiter.com/Daily Wire. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Daily Wire. Don't let what happens at the Daily Wire happen to you. Get qualified candidates. They love me here. This is why at the end of the day, somebody always says, and stay out. That's all right, let me begin. I want to start with a personal comment about this Roy Moore scandal, because I've been thinking about it all weekend. And I won't get into too much information or anything like this, but I actually believe that every male commentator who is commenting on this huge sex scandal, which is now sweeping Hollywood and politics and the state houses and all this, and now has hit this candidate for the special election to replace Jeff Sessions as senator in Alabama. I think that every male candidate is actually operating under the unspoken threat of feminist blackmail. And the reason I think that is because I think every young man has done something that he regrets, okay? Women have no clue. They have no clue what it is like to be a young man. It is like being tied to a rocket which basically wants to plant itself in every female that walks by. And some men, many men, handle this quite well, but a lot of them handle it well because of fear. They're afraid of getting caught, they're afraid of getting disease, they're afraid of all kinds of things, but they are all dealing with a power that women know nothing about. Women do not know it. So every man who talks about this is afraid that if he goes off the feminist line, that every accuser has to be believed, that every man has done something bad, that every little thing is somehow a tremendous crime against humanity instead of part of the complexity of working with women and being around women. Everyone's afraid, oh my God, something will come out, something will, about me will come out, and I can be destroyed just like all these other people I see being destroyed around me. So I want to start with a personal statement, which is this. I have been married now for 37 years, I think it is. 37 years.
Impressive.
What's that?
Impressive.
Impressive. It is impressive. And I have been faithful to my wife. I have been faithful to my wife. And I think also, since 37 years is basically my adult professional life, I think you can go back. I have worked, as I work to this very day, I have worked with some of the most beautiful women on earth, because I've worked in Hollywood, I have worked in publishing, and I've worked in the news business. That's where the pretty girls go. I've worked with them all. Some of them were available. I think you can interview any woman I worked with, and she will tell you that I've treated her with respect. I haven't chased anyone around the room. I haven't, cheated, grabbed anybody, even talked, a lot of sex in front of people. Even Jess will say that about me, and Jess doesn't even like me. She will. I may abuse you personally, but I don't sexually abuse people. However, as a young man, and I've written about this in my memoir, The Great Good Thing, I was out of my mind. I was sick, I was twisted, I was angry, I was nuts, and did things that I regret to this day. I wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh my God, I've done terrible, terrible things because I was this sick guy. And all I can say about that guy is he's dead. I know he's dead because I killed him with my own two hands. And, like a lot of psychiatry and a lot of, God and, made me the man I am today. And I 100 times I have gone to God and said, look, I'm a person of goodwill. Why did I ever have to be that person? And I think the answer is it has made me slow to judge. It's why when you hear me talking about Jesus, you're not hearing me say like, this is a sin and that's a sin, and why don't we condemn this, and you did that and this. I don't do that because I have looked into the heart of darkness, and it was my heart. I have been there. I understand. I understand the pain of people who do bad things. I understand the twistedness and the fact that you're out of control. And so I just put that forward to say to you that this is the point of view that I'm coming to this from. And having said that, and I'm not afraid of anybody saying things about me, because I'll tell you, there's stuff there, that I wish hadn't happened. That guy is dead. I live as I live today and have lived for 37 years. So having said that, I believe we're now in the middle of a witch hunt. Okay, and you say, well, what are you talking about, a witch hunt? Harvey Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, this rape, and Louis C.K., doing terrible things in front of people. This is two things you have to know about a witch hunt. There are always real witches. Some of the people who get caught in witch hunts are real witches. And this was true back when there were actual witch hunts. The difference is that we no longer believe in witches, so we no longer respect people for being afraid of witches. But if we had lived back then, we would have been certain there were witches. It wasn't like you would have doubted it. You would have been absolutely certain that some people were witches and needed to be destroyed before they destroyed you or your crops or whatever. So in witch hunts, there are always real witches. And this is true in old times, and it's true now. So that over the weekend, USA Today put out a list of guys who have been accused, and I'm reading the list. And there's Harvey Weinstein, who did terrible things, maybe he's accused of actual rape. I mean, that is, the crime under murder that we think is the worst thing. And I agree, it's a terrible thing to do to somebody. But then there's Dustin Hoffman. And Dustin Hoffman's an 80-year-old man, and what's he accused of? He's accused of talking dirty in front of a woman and, maybe inviting a woman to his hotel. And it's like, I don't care. I don't even, when you put those two things on the same list, you're basically making the list this kind of moral cloud. That's a witch hunt. Guys do things, they ask, and women invite things, and women are seductive, and act in a transactional way sometimes. Who knows what happens? I don't care if Dustin Hoffman talked dirty in front of someone. One of the reasons I behave the way I do is because I'm not a feminist. One of the reasons I treat women with respect is because I'm not a feminist. I'm a patriarch. I'm an old-fashioned patriarch who believed there's a difference between men and women, that men have to look out for women a little bit. Women don't like to talk about it, but there it is. That once women say, as feminists have been telling us now for 60 years, once they say, oh, we're exactly the same, then there's no reason when you come into a workplace that women's rules should rule instead of men's rules. Men talk dirty. Men say terrible things. Men like to make grotesque jokes. The only reason they shouldn't do that is if patriarchy is in place, is if it's in place that these men have to watch out for the women around them. I'm a patriarch. I'm old-fashioned. I'm a gentleman. I believe I have to watch out for people. So that's different. But feminists have no case. They have no argument. So in this witch hunt, we now have Roy Moore, right? Roy Moore is this Bible-thumping guy, defends the Ten Commandments, is always talking about the evils of gay people and the evils of transgender people and blah, 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 and makes a big show of it. And now he has been picked over Luther Strange, who was the guy that Trump supported. Steve Bannon supported Roy Moore, and he was picked to run against the Democrat in a very red state, Alabama, to replace Jeff Sessions as senator. Now the Washington Post comes out with a report. And what does the report say? It says that in 1979, when he was 31 or 32, Roy Moore was dating teens, lots of teens. Some guy has said we knew he was hanging out in high schools and all this. The age of consent in Alabama is 16. One of these girls, who tells a very elaborate, detailed story, was at the time 14, and he touched her through her underwear, took her home. He was a DA, an ADA, and he took her home when she was involved in some case with her mother. I mean, it's a really kind of a bad story. And, it matters what the law is, because we're not really in the business of judging other people's sex lives, no matter what they're running for. But a 14-year-old, in my mind, can't give informed consent to a 32-year-old. She said she didn't enjoy what was going on, and it is completely out of line. I mean, it's not, I'm not going to call it child molesting, but it's basically going after an underage girl, and it's not right. It's not right. So Moore, over the weekend, he talked to Hannity, and to my mind, he basically admitted the part about dating teens. So what I'm saying about the WAPO piece is that there's one charge in there of breaking the law. The charge that he was with a 14-year-old girl is the charge of breaking the law. The other things are about dating youngish women. So this is one charge. To my mind, on the Hannity show, he basically admitted that he dated teens. Cut number 3. This is the question answer there.
Would it be unusual for you as a 32-year-old guy to have dated a woman as young as 17? That would be a, 15-year...
Not generally, no. If I did, I'm not going to dispute anything, but I don't remember anything like that.
But you don't specifically remember having any girlfriend that was in her late teens even at that time?
I don't remember that, and I don't remember ever dating any girl without the permission of her mother. And I think in her statement, she said that her mother actually encouraged her to go out with me.
So he's lying. Basically, he says, I don't remember doing it, but her mother encouraged her to do it. And so he's lying. He dated teens. But he adamantly denies the 14-year-old girl charge, says he never knew her, didn't happen. He made the statement to Hannity, but then he made it publicly. So let's listen to his public statement about this. Cut 5.
These attacks involve a minor, and they're completely false and untrue about something that happened nearly 40 years ago. But more than being completely false and untrue, they're very hurtful to me personally. I want to make it clear to the media present and to the people present. I have not provided alcoholic beverages, beer, or anything else to a minor. I have not been guilty of sexual misconduct with anyone. This article is a prime example of fake news, an attempt to divert attention from the true issues which affect our country.
Okay, now here's the second thing I want to say about a witch hunt. In a witch hunt, you and I are swept up into the emotion, right? It's not other people who do the witch hunt, it's everybody. Everybody is in on the witch hunt because you have to react, because people are screaming at each other and your friends are screaming and everybody's screaming and you have to feel like, I have to come down, I have to have an opinion, I have to know, here he is, the guy is denying this. I was thinking even before this happened that in this atmosphere, this would be an easy time to set somebody up. You get a couple of women. You get a couple of women who you know the guy was with, and then you throw in a woman who maybe wasn't with him. That's a good setup. It's a good setup. It doesn't mean he's telling the truth. We know we're pretty sure he lied about the teenage girls on Hannity, so it's hard now to trust him. The girl did not come to the Washington Post. The Washington Post went out and got him. Moore keeps saying, well, why did she wait 40 years to come forward? That's not a good question. That's actually not a good question. The Washington Post, doing a hit job on a candidate they don't like, went out and found this girl. She didn't want to talk. So that's really not a good argument. But the thing is, everybody is now falling into place along their political lines. Everybody, even the people who are being sanctimonious are falling into place along the political lines. The political establishment, which hates Roy Moore, including the White House, which didn't want him, they're saying if it's true, he should step down, and if not, he should fight. That seems to me the kind of clearest, it's the most establishment thing, but it's a clear moral stance, right? If it's true, step down. If it's not true, you should stand and fight. Why should you be pilloried by the press? Of course, the press, they're the witchfinder generals. They're the ones in charge because this is the guy they hate because he's on the right and he's on the far right. So they've come out with these statements, unbelievable statements. Fredo, what's his name? Cuomo on CNN. He is the Fredo of the Cuomo family, and I'm not so fond of the Cuomo family altogether. Cuomo, and here's a little quick montage, a two-person montage we put together of Cuomo and is it Martha Raddatz at ABC? They can't believe that anybody would wait to find out if it's true. Listen to this.
Democratic candidate had a story come out today that we found a 14-year-old young woman at the time, now much older, okay? So the candidate was much younger, just like in the Roy Moore story. And she said, well, now that you got me, and told this story. Would you feel the same way about it? That, boy, this Democratic candidate, let's give him every benefit of the doubt, and let's see if there's any other proof other than this woman reluctantly coming forward and saying, when I was 14, he touched me here, he touched me there, and I asked him to take me home. I was very uncomfortable. I wanted it to end. Would you be so open-minded?
I'm taking politics out of this. I
don't know how you can, because every comment that's made by people on the right is defending and putting in context of political utility. Well, let's see if it's true. Well, boy, the timing is suspicious. These are not things that you say when you're being sensitive to the women in the case. They just are not.
I think generally you hear, we don't know, and it was 40 years ago, sort of the things that Roy Moore was saying there, that if he did that. And I don't know really how you take this further. You've got 4 women on the record who the Washington Post sought out. They didn't come to the Washington Post, and 30 others who they talked to. So I don't really know what those voters are waiting for.
Oh, you don't, do you? Maybe they're waiting for proof. And it's not 4 women. It's one woman who is accusing him of illegality. And if the press, especially the left-wing press, is going to start to lecture us on dating young women, let me show you a cover. What is this, from People magazine? I found this cover from People. Yeah, People magazine. Jerry Seinfeld. Look who's in love. Jerry Seinfeld, 39, and Shoshana Lonstein, 18, make an unlikely romance work. These guys have been undermining our sexual mores for the last 60 years, and now they're suddenly telling us, oh, we suddenly have to turn, on this candidate because he's dating young women. That's not going to work. That doesn't work. That's the first thing. The second thing is they're essentially, especially Cuomo, who is... the guy is as dumb as a brick. Cuomo is basically saying, how can you doubt us? We're the press. We doubt you because you lie. You lie. There was a story last week about Trump's bodyguard, I think it was. Let me make sure I got it. His bodyguard. He was in Congress. They were investigating the Steele dossier, the thing that said that that Trump had slept with these Russian hookers and all this stuff. And the guy said that after a business meeting before the Miss Universe pageant in 2013, he's testifying to Congress, a Russian participant offered to send 5 women to Donald Trump's hotel room in Moscow. His longtime bodyguard told Congress this week, according to 3 sources who were present for the interview. 2 of the sources said the bodyguard, Keith Schiller, viewed the offer as a joke and immediately responded, "We don't do that type of stuff." So essentially the Steele document is now like debunked by this guy, right? He's saying it didn't happen. So GQ, which has now become a left-wing cesspit, runs a story with the headline, "Isn't it strange how more of the Steele dossier keeps checking out?" And NBC, a guy at NBC tweeted out, Trump was offered Russian hookers. Yeah, but it didn't say he turned them down. They thought it was a joke. We don't do that kind of stuff. So they lie. I mean, remember the guy from Time magazine saying the bust of Martin Luther King had been removed from the Oval Office because he didn't see it. He didn't happen to see it. And then they said, oh, it was just a mistake. Not a mistake. These guys have been doing hit pieces on Donald Trump. Every word out of his mouth has been, reconfigured to give it its worst possible meaning. Everything is a scandal. Everything he does is wrong. So they lie. So why should anybody believe him? But the bigger divide here is between the people who support Trump and the never-Trumpers. And that's what I will talk about in a moment. But first, I have to talk about something equally important, if not more so, which is why you are still going to the post office, right? I don't go to the post office. Why do I use Stamps.com? I use Stamps.com because my wife was sick and tired of me saying, go to the post office. That's why. She was sick and tired of waiting online. Post office does great stuff. It really does. But nobody wants to stop in the middle of their cyber day, which is moving at the speed of light, and suddenly drive to the post office and stand online and wait for the stamp to come through. You don't have to do it anymore. Stamps.com brings all the amazing services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your fingertips in your computer. And you can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail using your own computer and printer. Plus, as far as I'm concerned, it's fun. I'm easily amused, but when I put an envelope into a printer and it comes out with a stamp, I'm amused. Stamps.com makes it easy. They'll send you a digital scale. It automatically calculates the exact postage, and Stamps.com will even help you decide the best class of mail based on your needs. I use it because I just don't want to stop my day. I don't want to stop my day to go to the post office when I can do it right at home in my computer. And right now, you too can enjoy the Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. So go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Klavan. I know you can do it. It's Klavan. Do it slowly, Klavan, Stamps.com, and enter Klavan, and you'll never have to go to the post office again. All right, we're going to talk some more about this, about the Never Trump. This is the big one, the Trump versus Never Trump divide. And Michael Knowles will join us after this. But first, I got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Come on over to thedailywire.com and listen to the rest of the show. And while you're there, subscribe, and then you can watch the whole thing live.